Today's episode is brought to you by Forvis Mazars.
SoundCartel.
From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. The first million, they say, is always the hardest. But what stops those businesses from reaching $2 million in sales and beyond? Well, that's what strategy advisor and business mentor Jenny Stilwell attempts to uncover in her book, The 7% Club: How to be one of the 7% of businesses that make it beyond $2 million in turnover. It's a practical guide for businesses that want to scale up successfully. First, Chris Ashmore asks Jenny, what is it that stops a business moving beyond $1 million in turnover?
For those who want to go beyond $2 million, it's interesting because they can get to, say, $1 million, $1.5 million in a rather lean way. You know, they don't need too many people. They do a lot of what needs to be done themselves. But as you approach 2 million, obviously that starts to peter out. You can't keep going the same way that got you to, say, 1.5 and get beyond 2 million. It's dealing with complexity, you know. So as a business grows, there's more complexity, more moving parts, more people, more clients. And at some point, the owner will explode if they don't get some resources around them, they don't put some structure around them and their business. And often they're reluctant to do that because it's a bit of a leap from what they've known and what's got them to 1.5 or close to 2 and how they move forward. So it's a leap and dealing with complexity. That's probably what stops them.
And there's a lot of businesses in that phase that they can't move on.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's where the owner, in a way, self-sabotages because they don't want to let go. You know, there's some fear involved and there's some risk and there's additional expense and it's a different way of doing business. So sometimes it's easier to stay in that frantic space dealing with complexity yourself than taking the big leap to move forward.
So how does a business get beyond that $2 million in turnover? I understand you have a framework which identifies 3 obstacles to overcome. Can you walk us through each one? And the first one is simplify and structure.
Yes. This is the stage where they need to put structure into their business. So they don't really know anything about the numbers. They might get a P&L, but sort of a month after. So they're always sort of running behind. They don't really know where they're making money or where they're losing money. They just don't really have a handle on what's going on in their business. So that first stage is about putting the necessary structure in place around the numbers, about reducing the capability gap between their skills and the next person down and starting to close that gap so there's less reliance on the owner, documenting their core processes so other people know how to do the thing that they do. It's not all in the owner's head. And that stage is really critical because they're really starting to put some shape and form and structure into how the business is run. So it's managing the complexity, it's becoming less manic, and the owner can start to feel a little bit more in control, which is the first stage to then upscaling. So that's what that first stage is all about.
Another obstacle is develop and lead.
Yes, well, this is a crucial stage for the owner of the company. This is where they need to really step up themselves and shift from being the business owner to the leader or the CEO and build and develop the team around them. So this is what I call the stage where they need to get their A team in place. So they need to start, recruiting the right people. They need to start thinking about the culture they're building and attracting and retaining people. They need to align their people with company goals so everyone knows what their role is in the bigger picture. And then the CEO really needs to start shifting their focus from day-to-day operations and trusting this A team that they have in place, and they've got KPIs and they know what they're meant to be doing. And then the CEO can start to be a little bit more strategic in looking at the future and growth. And that's a really critical stage and it's a really big leap.
And the third obstacle is strategize and scale.
Yeah, well, a lot of business owners say, yeah, I have a plan. I know where we're going. It's in my head. Yeah, I know what we're doing, which is great to a point, but no one else knows what the plan is or what their role is in that plan. So as a company gets bigger, it's like having a team. If you're playing a game by yourself or with another person, that's fine. But once you have a team around you, everyone needs to know what the game plan is. And if they fail to do that, they will grow, but it will be haphazard. It'll be a little bit ad hoc. The team won't really know where they're going or what they're trying to achieve. So once you have a strategy in place, you can obviously upscale more effectively, more efficiently and faster. So it's a really important stage that they need to come to terms with.
What sort of difficulties do you recognise that owners must deal with when they're growing their company?
When things go pear-shaped and you don't have a reference point, so the smaller the business, the less reference points you've got for how to solve it. So you might lose a major customer, or a key person in your team resigns, or suddenly you've got some cash flow problem that you didn't see coming, or you get an invoice that you didn't factor in. You know, all sorts of things can happen, and they will happen. You can be assured of that. But it's just about, once you've got over the initial shock, you really have to assess, okay, what's happened? What are all the facts? What do I know about this? What are our options? What can I do? What do I need to address? And, you know, those things will happen, but as you become more experienced, you'll have more reference points for dealing with them. But, yeah, you can't stick your head in the sand. You have to front them, and you have to know that you'll get through them.
Now, you've outlined the keys to overcome certain things, but what would you say are the keys to upscale successfully?
Well, you really need those strong foundations. So, you know, being all over the numbers is critical. You have to know the numbers in your business. You've got to have the right people around you. And it doesn't mean overextending with expenses and having a lot of people. You've just got to have the right people. And your business needs to run efficiently, so you need those strong core processes. So that's the basis of strong foundations. You really need the capable team. You need the strategy so everyone knows the game plan and can move in the same direction, and you can reevaluate that each year. And then the other thing I call an enabled culture. It's really where you've got all those things in place and you've got the right people, and everyone is working toward the same outcome, and the company is working well, the company is upscaling, getting results, and the team is working well together. So that's the ideal outcome.
Let's say you've achieved that as a business, you've achieved the $2 million goal of turnover. What then? How do you get to $5 or $10 million? Is it a different thing?
It's a really great question. It's the same thing. So all the things that we've talked about are the things that need to be in place if you're serious about your business. If you really want to grow it, you have to have these things in place. And once you do, that's kind of the framework to then grow your business and take it forward. And you might grow it to 5, 10. I've got clients I worked with, you know, who went to 8 figures, and 10, 20 years later, they're heading for 9 figures. So it's just a matter of knowing how all those foundations work and continuing to evolve them as your company grows.
Well, 8 or 9 figures, for a lot of people, that would seem an insurmountable number to achieve. Do you have to have that belief from the beginning?
I think the belief grows, in all honesty. I think you need the vision and the desire, and the belief will grow. It's like anything, you know, you want to become great at a certain sport and you've really focused on it. And as you get better, the belief strengthens. Yeah, I can do this. Yeah, I can really get to that point. So the belief does grow. 8 and 9 figures are big. A lot of companies might grow from, you know, 1 to 5 or 6 or 3. It just depends what the individual is happy with, what creates a better life for them. But once they've got all these things in place, at least then they've got the option to grow because they know how to do it. They've got the foundations in place.
That was strategy advisor Jenny Stilwell. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at SoundCartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow at BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily Podcast. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Forvis Mazars. To find out more, visit forvismazars.com/au. That's FORVISMAZARS.com/au.